everybody. I'm Kristy Lammers with Lammers Ag. We are doing another episode of Rooted in Results, and we have the pleasure of having Kacy Perry with us today. And I just want to talk a little bit about where, Kacy's background before she gets in and starts answering some really good questions. But I'm just going to read a little bit of what she sent me because it's quite fascinating to me. And I know Kacy just from being within the channel arena, I guess, over the past few years. So Kacy grew up on a farm in East Central Illinois and joined Monsanto right after graduating from the University of Illinois. She spent nearly 16 years at Monsanto Bayer in various roles across sales, marketing, and products, where she currently leads the North America soybean brand or soybean business. So obviously one of the main reasons besides just having Kacy on board is we are so excited about our Vyconic soybean that's going to be launched in 2027. And I know it's a little ways out there, but as we all are planning ahead and we tend to do that and get excited about the new things that are in our industry, I just thought this would be a great start to how Vyconic's going to look in our area. So Kacy, welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. Throughout those 16 years, I've worked with Channel a lot during that time. And so it's always fantastic. It's a good day for me if I have a chance to talk to Channel Seed Pro.
Right. Yeah, we are so excited to have you here because I know Vyconic's just been the buzzword, ever since, officially we launched the brand name. We all knew about that bean was coming and we all had different ways that we would say to our growers what it was. But I just, a few questions that are top of mind for me is on weed control differences, advantage options, total number of weeds controlled versus enlist, that's kind of a lot of it. But in kind of a summary, as you want to talk about those different areas, what's some of the things that the growers need to know?
I was really, really excited when we were able to launch the Vyconic name and the Vyconic brand, not just because I think it's cool and really exciting because it means we're one step closer to putting this in the hands of farmers, but also because we were previously referring to it as HT4 because it's our fourth generation of herbicide tolerant traits, with that first generation being glyphosate tolerance and Roundup Ready soybeans all the way back in the 90s. That we are now on the fourth generation of herbicide tolerance. But what was so confusing about calling it that was Vyconic actually has 5 different herbicide tolerances in one soybean. So today the industry standard would be 3. So if we think about an XtendFlex soybean that has tolerance to 3 herbicides, Vyconic just builds on that. So when farmers are able to purchase Vyconic soybeans, they'll have tolerance to glyphosate, glufosinate, dicamba, which is what's available today in XtendFlex. But then we add 2,4-D tolerance as well as mesotrione tolerance, so an HPPD group of chemistries. And so we are not just excited to launch these soybeans because of that flexibility that it's going to give to farmers, but also we're working to ensure that we've got the crop protection products as well that farmers can use over the top of Vyconic soybeans. It's hard to talk about it without first mentioning the herbicide tolerant traits and the flexibility and the options that those are going to provide to farmers. But honestly, Kristy, what excites me the most is the yield potential that we also see coming with these soybeans. And what I think about is today, unfortunately, a farmer has to decide what is the herbicide platform I want to use and then pick their soybean second, right? What Vyconic is going to give us the opportunity to do is totally flip that around and go back to saying, what is the best soybean for my farm? What are the agronomic traits I'm looking for? What is the yield potential that I'm looking for? What is the best bean field by field for my operation? Working with a seed pro like you that can help them go back to talking about yield and agronomics. And then you've got a ton of options on what herbicide program you want to use. So it really allows us to go back to talking about what matters most, which is yield potential and agronomics, and then have a ton of flexibility on what herbicide to spray.
That is so true because I did more than ever. Obviously this year we had those questions and it was always, unfortunately the lead was, what are you using or what do you, what's the plan for you this year? Or some guys just made the decision, I'm just going to do the enlist program. and not, is there a drag on yield? And I'm very excited about it. It's hard for us, as dealers too, just to not be excited about yield. I mean, we have great yield now. I'm really even more excited about the potential of where this is going. So before we get into that yield part of it, and you alluded to this a little bit, but the number of active ingredients, I mean, I know you said 5 herbicides. That gives the grower that flexibility, that unparalleled level of flexibility. Let's talk a little bit about that versus what's out there now, what you're seeing that as an advantage for our growers.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, well, we have 5 different herbicide tolerances in one soybean, and today the industry standard is 3. The easy tagline, right, is 5 typically is better than 3. You get more options, right? And so we're excited to upgrade our portfolio that has 3 options today to having 5. And that just expands your spectrum of weeds that you're able to control, because not only do we have 5 different herbicides, but we also have 4 different sites of action. So adding that HPPD tolerance, the mesotrione specific tolerance that hopefully farmers will have access to post-emerge on their soybeans once we get the appropriate crop protection approvals, is really exciting. And we're starting to already see the power of meso being paired with these other options that are available, and how that really is going to change the game in soybean weed control. So we look at, not that this number is overly relevant, but today we know that Vyconic will control more than 450 weeds, and our closest competitor is going to be right around that 350 mark. So we could easily say we're going to control more than 100 weeds more than the leading competitor today. So we just are going to give farmers more choice, more options, right? You never know what Mother Nature is going to throw at you. We never know how a season is going to progress. So it's better to have more tools in your toolbox so you can pull out whatever one you need based on what you're learning, versus having to make that fixed decision before you have access to all your information.
Right. Oh, that's so amazing. And so that when you talk about the chemistry coming along with it, is that, I mean, are we seeing progression on that as well, being approved in the licensing and all of that, to be able to kind of launch at the same time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we believe it's important that farmers have simplicity when we launch a technology like Vyconic. So, I mean, as we are all aware, we are currently pursuing a dicamba registration. So we understand how critical access to a tool like dicamba is for farmers. So we are, actively working on getting a new registration for dicamba that would obviously support our XtendFlex portfolio as well as our Vyconic portfolio once that launches. But then we are also working to secure appropriate approvals for a 2,4-D product as well as a mesotrione product that would support the launch of Vyconic.
Oh, that's such great news. I mean, I know our farmers, when I talk with them about it, and, a couple things come to mind, but just the excitement on that whole options, like you say, and giving them the best way to improve their yields. One thing I just kind of want to throw out there, who did you come up with a name? Because I just think it's amazing. Or was it a group effort or kind of some things thrown around? I am so pumped about the logo, the name. I just love it.
I love it too. And I wish I could take credit for it, but I could not. I joined our soybean team about a year ago, and getting a trademark and getting a new brand is a years-long process. So as you know, launching a new brand can be emotional and people can have a lot of opinions on it. But I would say the feedback on this name and this launch has been really, really positive, And I think when I think about Vyconic and what it means, I think of 2 things. I mean, one, I believe that Vyconic soybeans and having 5 different herbicide tolerances in one soybean, that's iconic, right? And so an iconic product deserves a iconic name, and Vyconic definitely brings that to life. The other thing, which is a little less intuitive, but assuming that we have all the appropriate approvals required, Vyconic will have 5 herbicide. Vyconic does have 5 herbicide tolerances. So V is the Roman numeral 5. So also can bring that to life a little bit, right?
Oh, that's great. That's really cool how that came together.
Yeah, the team did a fantastic job. They always joke that it's a little bit like a dating app. They have all these names available and they swipe left, swipe right, and then you get left with a pile of names that might
Yeah.
work. And
Oh, that's awesome.
so, and also we get a lot of feedback too from farmers. We do some research to just make sure it's something that'll resonate with the people that matter most, which are the customers.
And will this be, because I know Bayer never stops. I know we never stop research, innovation, all of that. I mean, that's why we're on the lead of all of these things. Will Vyconic stay as we keep adding herbicides?
Yeah. So
so we won't flip another name. We won't, because I was thinking about that the other day, and I'm like, it's not very far. I don't want to give away too much until we're going to be down the line again. Is this something that we'll probably stick with and just continue to gain on that research and technology and keep making it more and more as the weeds and the different things are starting to get tolerance, like it seems like they do all the time.
Yeah, what's so exciting about our soybean portfolio? I mean, clearly launching Vyconic is game changing, but we expect in the early 2030s to be able to launch the next generation of herbicide tolerance, which takes those 5 tolerances that I've talked about with Vyconic and adds PPO tolerance, where we would also have a spectrum of, like, our tolerance, our HPPD tolerance is specific to mesotrione with Vyconic. But we believe that this would open up multiple PPO options when we're able to bring that next generation trait. And so when the team was naming Vyconic, they thought about, hey, will this work for the next generation of launches as we continue to bring farmers more options? And honestly, Kristy, I hope that Vyconic, when farmers hear the word Vyconic, they immediately think about that flexibility and having, the latest generation of herbicide technology available to give them choice. But I also hope they start to recognize it comes with yield, right? And that Vyconic is synonymous with high yielding soybeans that just add overall profitability to farmers' operations.
Right. So another question that I have when I'm thinking about this is, I know that there's been a lot of different studies and just on the major geographies, agronomic packages, the beneficial traits, initial yield advantages, which you alluded to. Obviously, we're seeing some really amazing first studies, first trials. We're going to be plot next year, I think, right? In 2026 is the plan at this point. And then commercial launch right now is projected at 2027. So what have you seen, as far as, not necessarily yield, but just anything else that you've seen out there that you could share with our growers on real data?
Yep, absolutely. So a couple things. One, and we can hit on this a little more if you'd like to, but the primary limiting factor to us being able to launch commercially is we want to make sure that farmers have access to critical export markets before we put these soybeans out commercially available, right? So today, we actually have full cultivation approval in the United States. So all the approvals in the United States that we need to launch the product are done. So we can grow these products today, but we just have to make sure that we're stewarding that grain, because critical export markets like China and the European Union, we're still working through those approval processes. So that's why Vyconic soybeans are not commercially available yet, but we are able to really do some great, deep, thorough testing. And initially we thought, hey, if we could launch Vyconic soybeans in 2026, if we could put soybeans in farmers' hands in 26, what could that performance look like? And that deployment class, we looked at it. There were almost 80 varieties. And the average yield of that class was better than the average yield of our commercial checks. So those are products that some of them will continue to advance in our pipeline, but that's a year early. So then if we go a whole other generation of breeding, a whole additional years of testing, and we look at the class that we would hope to put into farmers' hands in 2027, there's a few things that really, really stand out to me. The first is that this class ranges from double zeros to sevens. So typically when a company launches a new soybean variety, they're really restricted on the breadth of that launch initially. But because our breeding team has made so many incredible advancements in how we integrate traits into our technology, into our germplasm, we are seeing just a wide breadth of products available when we launch Vyconic. So not just in maturity groups, but also in the agronomic package, yielding above our commercial expectations on things like standability and disease packages, and really making sure we're not just bringing a high yielding soybean, but we're bringing one that has a great agronomic trait package and characteristics. But typically, I mean, I'm no stranger to the soybean business. Typically, when a company launches a new soybean, there's a lot of doubt and skepticism about how much yield is that actually going to bring, and is my current variety going to potentially out yield this new one? Is it going to take these new varieties, this new trait, some time to catch up? And what we are consistently seeing across lots of trials across the United States, last year our Vyconic soybeans had almost a 2 bushel per acre advantage over our commercial checks in our testing.
That's great.
It's incredible, right? Because typically when you launch a new soybean, if you just get parity, you're pretty excited if you're bringing a new trait like Vyconic. So the fact that it's already out yielding our commercial checks just gives us so much confidence. Now we have more to learn. I mean, part of the benefit of not launching until 2027 is we have 2 more growing seasons to understand these varieties, understanding how to place them, really digging into that yield potential so that we can have a lot of confidence and clarity to bring to farmers and to somebody like you, Kristy, so that when you're promoting these soybeans to a farmer, you've seen it with your own eyes, what the agronomic package is like, and can recommend them with confidence.
That's wonderful. I'm so excited. And the fact that you mentioned not limiting on the number of varieties, is because usually, like you say, you launch it and it's cubby hold, on what can work and what's out there and what you guys feel comfortable, launching for that year. That's amazing that we're that far ahead already. And like you say, 2 more growing seasons to really kind of dive in and keep rolling down the line. So, I know guys, like a couple of guys asked me this year already, well, I guess, is that my only option? What's the future for, I like my Extend Flex, I like my Connect, I like, what's the plan on that? What we have now as far as in our channel lineup.
So we always build our supply pile from the bottoms up. Probably a lot of people don't know this, and they may even be skeptical when I say this, right? But our folks that work out in the field, like your field sales representative, your local agronomist, we get feedback from our seed pros, we get feedback from our network and say, hey, what varieties are working and where do you see demand next year? And then we take that feedback at the local level and we roll it all up across the country. And you want to make sure that you have enough demand for a product that you can be a reliable supplier, right? I mean, bigger piles, products that have more demand is good, not because it makes us more efficient, but because it makes us a more reliable supplier, because we can spread our risk and deliver on the supply that folks are asking for. So we'll continue to build our supply plans in that same manner, right? So if folks have demand for Connect soybeans because they're doing incredibly well, and we feel very fortunate that we can put Connect soybeans in the hands of farmers. If our Extend Flex varieties are working well, we'll continue to see what that local demand is, and if there's enough demand for that product, then we'll continue to produce it. So now
it's just not phase out. It's just like they're not just done. And that's what I was saying. It's not just going to be this is your only option, and now they're $100 a bag. I mean,
yep.
And that's that's part of what we do. That's why we do what we do. I think at with Bear and Channel, is we work and we build. Right. And we continue to move down the line as partners with our growers, which main reason why I'm always here, that's why I'm here. So, so on the 2026 deployment, cost per acre, win rate, number of comparisons, we kind of touched. Is there anything else we're missing, just to talk with the growers, or anything else that you would like to share as we go down the line? I know, I'm hoping next year, obviously, we'll have plots of it out. I actually have a Bear research site right a block from me, so that's really fun, because I'm sure some of those initial Vyconic beans are probably in this area, but is there anything else Kacy, as we kind of close or move down the line here on, we'll connect again, probably maybe next year at this time or when we have more data to share. But I just want our operators to know that what this means and that we're very excited, and it's not just something that, we have come out with and not done the research. And like you're saying, the 2 bushel an acre advantage, and we've got some really stellar data right now, and only to get better. And it's like any other bean that we've done. The flex went to extend. And what I always say to my growers is all of that builds on each other. All of the disease, all of the, like you say, the germplasm, all of that builds to give us the best bean for the best yield and protection and defense. All of it. It's not like we're just doing one bucket. And the chemistry to come along with it, and having Bayer along with that as well. And it is nice. I've got the Channel Bayer Plus sign up here because Channel was added to Bayer Plus this year. And I think that's a great, option for farmers as we get into this type of new launch, where there'll be some chemistry that will go hand in hand with this if they choose.
Well, you mentioned it in my biography, right? I started at Monsanto. And have been proud to, my first year as a sales rep was the year we launched Roundup Ready to Yield soybeans, right? And I remember walking and being so excited about the launch of Extend soybeans, right? In the years leading up to getting all the necessary approvals to launch that trait. So just to be able to be a part of a launch like Vyconic is incredibly humbling and exciting for me. Like, I can't believe that I get to sit here as a farm girl from Illinois, that I get to sit here and have this conversation with you. But I also have seen the value of being Bayer, right? Of working for a primarily seed and glyphosate company, right? To now having a company like Bayer that can not just think about the seed and the trait and the germplasm and the performance, but also the corresponding crop protection products. And knowing that when we launch these soybeans, we'll have great recommendations on how to best control weeds, knowing that not every geography is the same, not every environment is the same. We want to make sure we're arming seed pros like you with as much information as possible to be able to make those good, strong recommendations, not just on the placement of the germplasm and the performance, but also on the how to best control weeds and what options this gives you. You mentioned price, and I don't ever want to seem like I'm trying to avoid the tough question like that. So given that we're not going to launch until 27, there's a lot of decisions that are yet to be made. Mm-hmm. But how we think about something like this at Bayer is we want to make sure that, everyday farmers vote with their pocketbook, right? And while we believe that Vyconic is going to add value to farmers' operations above and beyond what you're being offered today, be that through E3 or be it through XtendFlex, we believe that there's going to be more value provided to a farming operation with the launch of Vyconic, not just from the unparalleled flexibility and herbicide options, but also from the yield potential that those bring. And so we expect that a product brings more value, that we can share in some of that value that's created, but we want to earn farmers' business, right? That's really what we want to do. And we believe that the launch of Vyconic Soybeans will give us the opportunity to really earn a farmer's business, right? Because we've got it priced appropriately to capture that value, but also because the yield and the agronomic package and the options that it puts in a farmer's hand is second to none. Yeah,
it's just a complete, that's what's so exciting is, and a lot of guys are like, I wish it was here this year. And we all do. Right? We all wish it was here, but you got to take the right steps, like you say, for exporting and making sure that everything's taken care of on that end. But, I appreciate you being here. We will definitely follow back up as it gets closer to launch, and it's just an exciting time for Channel Bayer Vyconic brand. I actually got some gear.
I love it.
I'm starting to represent already. I got some shirts and things, got some hats in here. I got some hats as well. So I know there will be some of the guys that'll be like, I want some of them, I want some of them hats, but it's just a very exciting time for Channel and for Bayer and our chemistry line, again, to work together and provide the best that we can for our operators. So I appreciate you being here, and we will stay in touch. We'll definitely recap this before we launch it, and Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. It's great to see you again. And I love any opportunity to talk about the exciting future of our soybean business. So thank you for having me today.
This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital. Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market. Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarket.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarket.com. That's digitalagent@spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026. Or visit our website at www.spinmarket.com.